what's up everyone? Shane Graham here. Happy New Year! Today I'll be talking about another one of my favorite drummers, Mr. Ringo Starr, and breaking down 5 of his classic grooves. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, and let's jump right in. Richard Starkey, better known as Ringo Starr, was the great drummer behind the Beatles. Let me just say this. Ringo is a very underrated drummer. For one, he has a rock-solid beat. The Beatles producer George Martin could pull from other takes of the same song, mix and match them, and there'd be no issues. And this was before the days of click tracks, so let that sink in. Next, Ringo never overstepped the music and always played very musically. He was a left-handed drummer playing a right-handed setup, so every time he did a drum fill he had to stop because his hands wouldn't naturally cross over. So that's why all his drum fills are really unique and creative. Once you really start studying Ringo's playing, you pick up on so many fantastic nuances and subtleties. Let me break down a few of my favorite grooves of his. First, we have She Loves You, released in 1963 as a single. This is a 2-bar groove driven by the floor tom. We'll begin by playing a little figure on the floor tom, 3E, a 4, and then we'll play 8th notes on the floor tom for 7 beats. Next, we'll add the snare drum on beats 2 and 4 for the first bar, and then the second bar on beat 2, and the kick drum will be on 1 and 3 for both bars. Finally, we'll add the quarter note triplets on the snare drum on the third triplet partial of beat 3 and the second triplet partial of beat 4. If you don't know how to play quarter note triplets, begin by counting out 8th note triplets out loud while keeping a quarter note pulse. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Now we're going to play every other 8th note triplet like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Next, we'll keep time with our left foot on the hi-hat to show where the quarter note pulse is. Now this is essentially a polyrhythm. We are playing 3 beats over 2 beats or 6 beats over 4 beats if we're doing a full bar of 4/4. Let me show you. Next, we have the really cool Latin groove from I Feel Fine, released as a single in 1964. This was influenced by Ray Charles's What I'd Say and his drummer Milt Turner. We begin by playing a rough as a pickup note on beat 4. A rough is a drum rudiment that has 2 grace notes before the main stroke, like this, la, la. Let me demonstrate for you on the snare drum. Next, we'll play a simplified version of the ride cymbal like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Then we'll add the rack tom on beats 2 and the snare drum played as acrostic on beat 4. Next, we'll add the kick drum on beats 1 and the and of 4. Once that's all feeling comfortable, then we'll add the pickup note on the of 1 for bar 2 played on the ride cymbal and the rack tom in unison. Now this can be tricky to get, so take it nice and slow. Let me demonstrate for you. Next we have Ticket to Ride from Help, released in 1965. This is a really unique groove also incorporating quarter note triplets. We'll begin by playing the kick drum on beat 1, the end of 2 and beat 3, and the snare drum on beat 2. Next, we'll add the quarter note triplets starting on the third triplet partial of beat 3, played as flams on the snare, and then the second triplet partial of beat 4, played on the rack tom. Once that is all feeling good, then we'll add the hi-hat played with our left foot on beats 2 and 4. Let me demonstrate the whole thing for you. Next we have Tomorrow Never Knows from Revolver, released in 1966. This is probably my favorite Beatles album if I had to choose one. This is a really cool, unique groove. Let's break it down. We'll begin by riding the crash plain eighth notes. Next we'll add the kick drum on beat 1, the end of 2, and beat 3. Then we'll add the snare drum on beat 2, and then we'll add the rack tom on the end of 3 and the of 3. One extra thing you can do is play the hi-hat with your left foot on the end of 3 and beat 4 to emulate the tambourine heard on the recording. The whole thing together sounds like this. Finally, we have the iconic groove from Come Together from Abbey Road, released in 1969. It's a musical groove. Apparently Ringo played this groove leading up the toms instead of down the toms like most people play it. Another thing to take note is that Ringo played a 5-piece kit on this song. I'll only be using the 4-piece kit, so the orchestration will be a little bit different, but the rhythm will be correct. Let me show you. We'll begin by playing one and on the ride cymbal and the kick drum. Then we'll play 3 16th notes and 1 8th note triplet on the hi-hat for beat 2, and on the end of 2 we'll open the hi-hat to create a nice sizzle sound. Then we'll play 6 16th notes on the floor tom, then we'll play 3 16th notes on the rack tom followed by an 8th note triplet on the rack tom, and that will be the whole groove. The way that most people do it, we would start on the rack tom and we would play 6 16th notes on the rack tom followed by 3 16th notes on the floor tom and an 8th note triplet on the floor tom. Let me demonstrate both ways for you. There is so much to take away from studying Ringo's playing. It is no wonder that Jim Keltner, Abe Laborio Jr., Greg Bissonette, Stuart Copeland, Dave Grohl, and Questlove all consider Ringo to be one of the very best of all time. Have fun playing along to Beatles records and learning tons of new things. Well, that's it for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.